Welcome to Game Theorem, where we have serious discussions about absurd entertainment.
And that's our quote. I'm Kyle.
I'm Kira.
And by that's our quote, I mean the games we're talking about today are completely silent. No dialogue, nothing. The only text is either instructional or the names.
Yep.
Even instructional, there's next to nothing, just like main menu options.
Yeah, everything is just environmental sounds, and that's it.
Yeah, so we felt like silence itself would be the best quote.
Yep.
And we're talking about the Playdead. Is that the name of the company?
I think so.
Playdead. We're talking about their two big games, Limbo and Inside. Mm-hmm. Now, peek behind the curtains, we were originally going to be talking about Little Nightmares.
Yeah.
We want to talk about that game, but it just came out that they released a sequel. So we're like, okay, we gotta wait.
It's a prequel, and it's called Very Little Nightmares.
Okay, but still,
yeah,
within the
yeah.
series. So we're like, okay, we gotta table that and we do more research on that because we haven't played that one. Mm-hmm. So we decided, well, you know what? Let's go with the same idea, the same type of theme we were going to do, and let's talk about Limbo and Inside. They're very similar indie horror games.
Yep.
But psychological horror, not like bloody horror.
Yep.
Anything you want to say about this, Kira?
We really enjoyed these games when we played through them and thought they were really good, so I'm glad to be talking about them.
Oh, definitely, yes.
They bring up some really weird, cool ideas sometimes.
Right. And it seems that they are two different worlds, different universes. We'll talk later at the end of this podcast about how much they intersect or overlap. Mm-hmm. But we want to break it down one at a time, and we'll walk you through it because these are fairly short games.
Yeah.
But we feel like they're really good short games.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So we have the time to be able to go more in depth than some of the bigger franchises we cover. Mm-hmm. Series, whatever. So, here, Kira, take the wheel.
All right, you play as a boy who...
Oh, no, we're talking about Limbo first.
Oh, yeah. We're talking about Limbo first and then Inside, because that's the order they go in.
Now, we should probably set the scene about what the game Limbo's like, because these games are very defined by their graphical style. Mm-hmm. Limbo is completely monochromatic.
Yeah, it's black and white, and it's like a side-scroller sort of art where everything is flat.
Yes, like the character is literally just a black silhouette with eyes. Mm-hmm. And it's really creepy. It's like everything is pretty foggy. Like you say black and white, but I feel monochromatic's more accurate because there's lots of grays involved.
Oh, yeah, that's true. That's true.
Anyway, yeah, you were saying?
Do you want me to get into Limbo?
Yes. Yeah, let's get into the story, or at least what happens.
All right. You play as a boy who woke up in an unknown forest. You just wake up in the middle of a forest.
All right.
And then you get attacked by a large spider.
Large, like bigger than usual?
Large, like double the size of you.
Oh, that might be extra large.
Yeah. Honestly, the spider is the most terrifying thing about this game because I freaking hate spiders.
Well, I mean, yeah, arachnophobia.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, after using a trap to cut off like the sharp points on the spider's legs, the spider retreated further into the forest, and then you can finally move on. And so you journey through the forest, but then you get caught in the spider's web and it spins you into a cocoon. But you get lucky and break free and then hop in the cocoon until you're able to get it ripped off by tumbling down a hill. You literally tumble down a hill and then it rips off of you as you tumble. The only people that you meet in the game are some people are hanging by ropes.
They're all like children, though, just like you, right?
No, some of them look like they're bigger than you.
Oh, really?
So they could be adults.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, yeah, you encounter some hanged figures and you get attacked with flaming tires by a couple people, but you just pass by them. You just get past them.
Right, but those are kids. Like all the living people you find are small and childlike, like you.
I think so, yeah.
They have your rough stature.
Yeah, exactly. All right, and then you also see some people that were killed by the spider. So, yeah, and these are the only people you actually see.
It's worth noting that every time you die in the game, you just kind of wake up and come back.
Yep. It's a very interesting way. And also, the deaths are kind of realistic, like...
Oh, yeah, like if you get into like a grinder trap, your character gets torn apart into little pieces.
Yeah, and if you get caught by the spider, you get killed. You can drown if you fall too long a distance. You know, like you're a kid and your body is a child, so you can't take much punishment. Anyway, you finally defeat the large spider by ripping off the rest of its legs one by one and then pushing the leftover abdomen into a spike trap so you can get past the spikes.
Technically, I think that's a thorax.
Thorax?
Yeah.
Whatever it is.
Well, both, really.
Yeah, but yeah, that's what happens, and it's really gross.
Yeah, it's very persistent.
Mm-hmm. Like, by this point, you've been followed by the spider and you still see it and stuff like that.
But it's finally dead.
Yep. And actually the only reason you can get it to this point is if you sort of get it to go away earlier and then it gets weak and only has some legs left and then tries to attack you. Anyway, after you defeat the spider, you are pretty much forced to do some pretty gruesome things to continue on in the puzzles.
Well, why don't you just list off some of those things for us?
Yeah,
don't list them off and go through quickly. Set up a scenario for us so our listeners can understand what's happening.
All right, so you have to get across a pond, but you can't swim, so you have to use stepping stones across the water. And there are several corpses in the water.
Floating?
Yes, but there's one body that isn't quite dead yet. So basically what you have to do is use
you know what? I know it's too late, but we should probably say warning for violence and bodies and spoilers. We messed up. I am so sorry. You're saying, Kira?
Anyway, so you literally have to wait for that boy to die for you to use his body as a stepping stone.
Oh, wait, one of them's still alive?
Yeah, that's why I was saying one of them is still alive, and you have to wait for them to drown to use their body as a stepping stone.
Oh, that's so sad.
To be fair, you can't do anything about it. It's not like you could possibly save him just because you can't go in the water, you'll drown. You don't know how to swim.
Well, you could make the argument that the character could have, even if you don't have the option.
Oh, yeah, fair enough. All right, and then you drag one of the bodies at the end of that pond with you so you could use it to activate a trap and crush the body for you to go over the trap. It's a way to solve a puzzle.
It's like Indiana Jones, the relic, but instead corpses. And less assault. Because Indiana Jones is horrible.
Yeah, that's a good joke.
Look it up. Next.
All right, and then there are a couple boys who chase you with spears, and you lead them into a trap, which they activate, and it kills them.
Okay, but that's self-defense. I'm okay with that one.
Yeah, that is self-defense, but
it's never made clear. It's never made clear why they're trying to kill you.
Yeah, I don't know either.
But everything is hostile in this world. Everything.
Yeah. Some boys chase... Oh, wait. I just said that. All right. And then you get some weird segments where you're controlled by a glowing parasite that is light averse. So you get turned around every time you hit the light.
Yeah, it's this weird worm thing.
Yeah, and it's part of the puzzle solving.
Right. Because it looks like it's something you're supposed to avoid, but you'll end up getting bitten by it. And then you have to kind of work around it or work with it to get through the puzzles.
Yeah, absolutely. And You also end up tricking a dog to getting caught in a wheel and killing it to get a wheel
remember
turn.
this. What?
I went through the walkthrough.
I don't remember that.
You trick a dog into getting out, and then he gets caught in a cog, and he gets it turning.
Oh, poor puppy.
And then at one time during while you're traveling, you do encounter a female character who you think might be your sister, who you're searching for, which is why you're traveling in this forest.
Yeah, it's the first time it's revealed, like, this is what you've been going for. Your character keeps trying to survive and going. You keep going towards the right. You progress through this side scroller, and then you finally find her, and it's like, oh, this is what I'm searching for. I'm searching for her.
Yeah.
And it's largely believed that she is the main character's sister.
And, but you can't reach her because you get turned around by a glowing worm, and she's in the sunlight.
Oh, and there's no way to... Does it just end there? Wait, what happens next? I forgot.
You get turned around and then have to continue the puzzle, but you can't reach her because the glowing worm will get you every time you go in that direction and turn you around as soon as you reach the sunlight.
What happens next?
Oh, you do have to solve a lot more puzzles. But basically the progression is, at first you start in a forest, then it goes into sort of a crumbling city, and then by this point you end up in like a factory sort of setting. So you have to deal with cogs and like even more cogs and metal and magnets and stuff like that. But eventually you solve this last puzzle in the factory. You get thrown through a pane of glass and back into the forest. And then when you finally get up and wake up and recover from being thrown through glass and keep walking, you see the sister that you saw earlier, and she stands up and looks like she's startled, and then the game ends.
Does it just end, though, or does it go back to the beginning?
No, it just ends. You were already back at the beginning when you got through the pane of glass. You get thrown back to the beginning when you do that. And then you see her, and then the game ends.
Huh.
And actually, you have to go the other direction, I believe. I forget which direction you have to go to see her. And then the game just ends when you see her.
So what you're saying is if you keep going right, you wouldn't see her?
I'm not sure. I forget to check which direction it was.
Because I think it's clear that this entire game is meant to represent purgatory.
Yeah, well, actually, it represents the Catholic concept of limbo.
Which is the same thing, really.
No, it isn't. No, it isn't.
What?
Purgatory is for when they haven't decided whether or you go to heaven or hell yet. Limbo is at the edge of hell, and it's there for those people who don't actually deserve hell, but technically by the rules have to be in hell. So it's like the least hell there is.
Okay, so they're using it more in a metaphysical of they're not quite dead sort of thing, but they're not quite living.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like...
And maybe that's why you come back after every time you die. Maybe some of those dead bodies are yours.
Yeah, maybe. But anyway, yeah, that's what it is.
But what I don't understand is... I definitely think it's some sort of loop. That's why you come back to the forest. That's why they did that. It's a loop. Mm-hmm. Your character's going through it over and over again. The question is the cycle broken when you find the girl? If it just cuts off and ends that way, does it break? Or is it implied that, oh, this happens, this is part of the cycle, this happens every time?
There's no actual, like, written stuff about whether what that is. Because like the game just ends and you know it's kind of just left to interpretation.
It might be both. It might be if you do it without seeing the girl, then it just goes on and on and on, but that's how you break the cycle.
It's possible. Yeah, you want me to check which way you have to go to see the girl, because I feel like that's really important.
Okay, so you just looked it up.
Yeah, you actually do continue to the right to find her, and then you see her, and she's startled almost as if you're not supposed to make it to that spot, almost as if you're not supposed to see her.
Right, but it's important that even though the game ends, there is further right. There's a ladder that continues and whatnot.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. There is.
I think that might mean that it's not necessarily a cycle. I mean, it kind of is. There's a life and death cycle. Every time you die, you just come back.
Yeah.
But the game isn't a cycle. The game is that you're in limbo, but you don't have to be alone. Yeah. So you're trying to find your sister so that you can be in limbo together. You find her at the end, and she's shocked. Right, but I feel like it's a happy shock, like you get to be together. I like to think of it as a happy ending.
Yeah, all right.
And then, yeah, you're going to be stuck in limbo, and you're going to have to be going through all this, but now you're not alone.
Yeah, that'd be nice. That's a nice interpretation in the ending.
But the only flaw in that idea is the ladder that's at the end. Mm-hmm. Because I'm interpreting that as like, okay, well, limbo keeps going after this, right? But what if the ladder is supposed to symbolize something else because it's going up?
It is, but it looks like it looks just like it leads to the cliff at the beginning of the game that you just climb up the ladder and...
Well, I'm talking on a more symbolic basis because we don't get to see what happens after this.
Oh, yeah, that's true. I mean, the ladder's right there next to her.
Yeah, but once you've found the girl, it's like you're like a ghost, like finding the thing that's holding you back kind of thing. Now that you've reunited with her, what happens next? Do you stay in limbo? That was my initial assumption. Mm-hmm. Or do you ascend? Do you finally get to leave limbo, and is that what the ladder symbolizes?
It's possible because actually in the lore of Limbo, you're also put there to like you can earn a way out.
Right.
Actually.
Absolution.
Yeah.
So I think that is possible, and I really can't say which. But I still think it's a happy ending regardless, because at least they're not alone anymore.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that's cool. Mm-hmm. It is kind of a heteronormative thing, though. Like,
well, it's his sister.
Well, okay, yes, but even family relation aside, even that's just an assumption.
Yeah, that's true.
And it's still a man rescuing a woman or a boy rescuing a girl. Yeah. There's this one video on Dorkly, this website that was funny, years back, where Mario's talking about how he's the man that saves the woman, right? Uh-huh. Mario rescues Peach. And then you have a whole bunch of like indie games being like, I do that too. I do that too. And they have the Limbo boy there. He's like, I do that too.
That's funny.
Just pointing out how common that trope is.
Yeah.
But, so, yeah, I mean, it's an interesting game.
Yeah,
it's
it is.
Fairly short, but the art style is amazing. Are there any theories specifically about Limbo that we need to talk about?
I've already talked about the Limbo itself, and, like I said, it's sort of the edge of hell where people who didn't deserve actual hell are put.
Right, yeah, you said that.
Yeah, so, yeah.
All right. Then let's move on to the other one.
Mm-hmm. Inside.
All right.
Now, the art style for this one is a bit more...
Very different. Very, very different.
Yeah, it's very different. It's in 3D.
Yes.
And there's some colors, but very few.
It's very muted.
Yeah, like
everything
the
is
only
dull.
Single bright color is the main character's red shirt.
Yeah. You again play as a young boy. Mm-hmm. Male again, because of course, that's the default. Yeah. Also pretty bright skinned. Although they all have like a real monochromatic skin color for what it's worth.
Yeah.
And yeah, the art style, there's a lot of dull, there's a lot of shadow. It's also stylized. For example, on the main character's face, you don't see any facial features whatsoever. On every person you find, they just have a smooth face. Uh-huh. And this is implied to just be a stylistic decision.
Yeah.
To not be like, these people have no faces.
Yeah.
But all right, so let's get into the story where you as this boy start off.
Yeah, it's a really good one. To be honest, I prefer Inside to Limbo's story.
Well, of course. I mean, they did better the second time around. This is
Yeah,
why
they
you should
did.
let indie studios make more games.
Yep, they did really well.
I mean, your first
love the
work is
art
always going to
style.
be your worst.
Yep.
I mean, it's just how it works. You get better and better, unless you're a corporation.
All right. Yay, capitalism.
Because then you make something that's actually good, and then you dumb it down just to crank out the dollars.
Yeah. Anyway, so you start out sliding down a rocky incline. Like it's implied that you're escaping. And then you have to start running through a forest, and you encounter some masked guards with flashlights, some vehicles with spotlights, and guard dogs.
Yeah.
So you have to avoid all of these while you travel through the forest.
I got a real, like, fascist vibe here.
Yes, because it really seems like you are escaping. And also, there is a visual difference between your character and the people searching to make you feel like they are adults searching for a child.
Well, yeah, they're adults. They're bigger than you.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah, you're the only kid, at least so far.
Yeah, so it really seems like they're searching for where did the child go?
And considering that it's adults looking for a child, that's part of what makes it feel so fascist to me.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, you don't know what's going on here, but, like, whether it's police, some type of authoritarian state, or whether it's just security for a local facility, but whatever
All you know is that if they catch you, they kill you.
Yeah, and no,
Or they capture you.
they either catch you or kill you.
Yeah.
But they will take you alive if they can. Mm-hmm. And it's weird. Whatever it is, it feels wrong because they're going after a kid. Mm-hmm. What kind of threat could you pose?
Yeah, exactly. And then you escape the guards and like end at the end of the forest, and then cross a road where
A blockade?
where a blockade has been set up with more vehicles and guards. And then you go to a farm where parasitic worms have caused the pigs to like run rampant.
Parasitic worms, huh? Interesting.
Yeah.
That showed up again.
Yep. Anyway, you use the farm animals and farm equipment to escape to a seemingly abandoned city where there are lines of zombie-like people that were moving through the city as if through mind control. And you see these lines of people as you are traveling through the abandoned city.
Is this that clip we just watched, by the way? Right before this episode, we were watching a clip just to refresh.
Oh no, actually that's even
later
further.
on? Okay,
Yeah.
then I won't bring that up yet.
Yeah. All right. So,
But yeah, like something has happened to the population.
you
don't
can
know.
tell when you're going through the cities when you get a first good look at the population.
It's almost like there's been a zombie apocalypse, except most people look kind of healthy.
Yeah, it's weird. They're just like zombie like marching in lines, and there are other people around them, like seeming,
The people trying to catch you.
Yeah, it seems more like they're administrative or they're running the line or something, but there are people who aren't in the
And
line.
there's security.
Yeah.
The line, is this the clip we just watched?
No, it isn't. There's several lines. There's several times in the game where you see lines of zombie people.
All right. So I just want to say, though, just to make it clear, zombie implies there's a horde and they're running amok. But these people are walking single file.
Yes.
Okay.
And there are several times in the city where you see these people walking single file.
Okay.
All right. And then beyond the city is when you enter a factory of flooded rooms and a laboratory environment where scientists performed underwater experiments on bodies. Now you can say what you wanted to say because you reached the factory.
So when you said it was further along, you meant the next line in our notes?
Oh, wait. Well, actually, technically, while traversing the area, you're introduced to the mind control helmet to control lifeless gray bodies.
And this is where you finally understand what's going on. Some group of people have created these mind control facilities, these mind control helmets and devices that are able to control these lifeless bodies. Mm-hmm. And We don't know what they did to make the bodies this way, but it's implied that there was some type of experimentation.
Yeah.
And yeah, like you put on the helmet, and these other bodies will now mimic your movements. Mm-hmm. And you can use that to control multiple bodies at the same time.
Yeah.
And that seems to have been literally the downfall of civilization itself. And that's why they're after you. They're after you because you're free, because you have your own autonomy. And that's not okay.
Yeah, because there are people with autonomy, but it seems like they're all working for them.
Yeah, that's the only way to have autonomy. Be them or be crushed by them.
Yeah. But anyway, you can... What about the part you were talking about? Did you want to say exactly what that was? Or
Oh, right, because like at one point when they're going in the single-filed line, you have to pretend that you are a mindless one of them. Mm-hmm. So you get into the line, and the boy, like, he literally like starts like redoing his animation to pretend like he's a mindless zombie, right?
Yeah, he starts mimicking their posture and their movement.
But it's so creepy because the line, when it goes into the factory, there's little designated areas where there's administrators watching it, checking off things on lists, telling them to jump, turn around, face me, face the other way, and you have to pretend to do that too. All the while, there's a camera on you that's flagged you as suspicious.
Yep.
And if you go one step out of line, then they capture you for re-education or whatever.
Yep. And that's a really tense moment.
Oh, yeah, very much.
Yeah.
That's why I kept bringing it up. I was like, can I say it now? Can I say it now? Can I say it now?
All right. The boy you eventually come across an underwater siren-like creature that attached a device to you, allowing you to breathe underwater.
Yeah, so it seems like the underwater experiments might have been a different line of experimentation. Mm-hmm. I think actually they probably were, because I think when you enslave the entirety of humanity, you're then free to do whatever experiments you want, right?
Yeah, that's true.
I think the zombie thing came first, but now they're like, what if we could make humans that could breathe underwater? Mm-hmm. And that's what you find, exactly that.
All right.
And it's the first time you see a child.
Yep. All right, and then you continue through the office and laboratories, and this section seems more lively and actually used and cleaned up rather than abandoned. And I think this is actually the part where you go through that line that you're talking about, like, because you go through the actual offices where they are and stuff.
Yeah, this is later on towards the game, because there's a lot where not much happens, where you're just escaping and trying to survive, trying not to get killed by dogs or people chasing you. And even the sirens, they try to kill you. They try to drown you.
Yeah, exactly. So you have to be careful.
Oh, they were creepy.
Yeah, they were, because they were just like...
And they're super fast.
Yeah, they're super fast, but they just had long, elongated white bodies with super long black hair. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't know what the name of the lady from The Grudge is, but that's...
The what?
Her. It's
what?
a Japanese horror movie.
Okay.
Yeah. But anyway, so while you're going through the office and laboratories, you see scientists observing a large spherical chamber.
Yeah, it's like an office. These people are at desk jobs while the outside world is in who knows what state.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Civilization has collapsed, but this place, this group of people, they're fine. They're what's the word? They're the city on top of the hill or whatever.
I guess.
There's some phrase for like the elites, basically.
Yeah. And
yeah, they're scientists mostly. And they're pretty like shocked to see you there. Many of them look at your direction like, "What's a kid doing here?" But they're scientists. So they don't try to capture you.
Yeah, they don't really do much about it. So anyway, also while you're traveling through, you see them observing that large chamber, and then you also pass by a room with a diorama of a big grassy hill and the edge of a lake, like a grassy coastline along a lake, with a single ray of sunshine shining on like the shore of the lake.
Yeah, it's weird that these scientists got into like little dioramas.
Yeah, and then you have this very perfect diorama of a grassy hill that ends at the edge of a lake.
Yeah.
Anyway.
That one stuck out.
Yeah. And then you enter the chamber from below it, from like underneath it, and discover the large blob-like creature made of humanoid limbs connected to 4 control rods.
Yeah, because we've seen plenty of human experiments, mindless corpses, dead bodies, but this one is like a huge jumbled mess of different bodies. Like you mostly see limbs, yes, but it feels like within it is more than just that. These are just people shoved and spliced together.
Yep. And technically it's called the huddle, but I hate how they give these special names to everything and then they never bring it up in the game at all, ever, anywhere. This
developer doesn't do it so much, but that is a trend I've noticed with indie games when they are very silent. And I have mixed feelings about it because I respect the idea of a game that has no dialogue. Mm-hmm. I respect a game that chooses to have their characters nameless. Mm-hmm. I think it does a disservice to that if you then name it anyway. Like, I understand when you're working on the game, you need a term to refer to each character, right?
Yeah.
I understand that, but the fact that you make these terms public and everything, people start latching on to them. And maybe that's the people's fault and not yours. But it becomes this weird thing of like, well, I guess technically that's what the character's called, even though the game, the artwork itself was like, no, don't call it anything. It has no name.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I wish the creators would be clear on that stance. And I think maybe the easiest solution would be don't release what your in-house name for it was.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's technically called the huddle, but we're moving on and we're not going to call it that.
We can call it the entity.
Yeah, I guess.
Just a non-capitalized word to refer to it as.
Mm-hmm. After disconnecting the 4 control rods, you get pulled into the blob.
Yeah, because the boy sees it. It's like, this thing is suffering. So it goes in there to swim in there, disconnects the cords, but the boy gets caught and gets sucked into it. And now you are it. You are part of it.
Mm-hmm. All right. And then you escape confinement, crashing through the offices and killing some of the scientists.
You get your revenge.
Yes.
You go through just
one of the best parts.
Killing all of them. And I mean, I shouldn't be that happy about mass murder, but
kill all of them, but you roll
any that
over
are in your way.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's that kind of catharsis, I think, like when you see a totalitarian state, fascism and whatnot, and you just get to roll through. And it's so ironic. It's palpable with like, you are the entity. You are a result of their creation, and you are here to bleep their bleep up.
Yeah, it's great.
That statement makes no sense. Uh-huh. But so I don't know, like, it's like, I don't want to say killing's good, but like if you're killing Nazis or fascists, it's like, I don't know. Am I being too happy and giddy about vengeance?
When it's this kind of vengeance, I don't think so. It's the kind of yeah, I get what you mean.
Because I feel like it's like they're elites, but they're also scientists. And don't get me wrong, I normally really respect scientists, but these are unethical scientists. You can be an unethical scientist. It's not that uncommon. Yeah. So these are all really horrible people for what they've done. Or I guess maybe that it was either this or become a zombie and they chose the easier solution, but that doesn't feel as fun anymore.
All right. Anyway, so you get trapped as the blob in a different tank that they trap you in.
After you're rolling around and destroying them.
You see them around trying to maneuver things and...
Yeah, they try to maneuver you and contain you until eventually they launch you out of this window, and then you land somewhere else.
You land in, and they put you in a tank.
Yeah.
So anyway, and then you escape that tank by breaking through a wooden wall.
And then you roll down this forest hill, right?
Yep. And then you come to a stop at a grassy coastline bathed in light.
And that's the end of it, right?
Yes.
So you never get to go back to normal. This is your form now. But after you get to that, it's like you escaped the facility. You escaped their control. You are in nature for once. So while the civilization may have ended, you don't have to worry about that. You're in nature. You have the sun on you. The water's there. There's greenery. This is, I think, the most colorful scene in the entire game.
It's very
peace.
peaceful.
It's like, yeah, your form is messed up. You're an experimented atrocity, but you're happy.
Because you just want to feel sunlight on you.
Yeah, you just wanted to feel something good, tranquil, peace. You didn't want to be part of that life. Yeah. You didn't want to be you just wanted to be left alone. Mm-hmm. And at the end, you finally get that.
All right. And now can I talk about the alternate ending?
Oh, right, because there's a secret alternate route that you can go through, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, so...
This is back when you're just a boy, right? Mm-hmm. Okay.
All right, if the player deactivated the hidden light orbs in the various bunkers that you encounter throughout the game, these are like secrets, you return to one of the bunkers and gain access to a new area. And then you reach this area that has a bank of computers and one of the mind control helmets.
Okay, yeah, so it's like there's like a whole bunch of monitors and computers at like a little station.
Oh, actually, yeah, I forgot that you don't only go through this, but like you go under, I think you go under a hatch in a field to get to this place.
So it's pretty hidden out of the way.
Yeah.
And then, so you do that, but in front of that station is one of those mind control helmets.
Yep. Powered by a nearby socket.
There's an electrical outlet.
Yes. And then you pull the plug from the socket, and when you do, the character that was in the chair behind you takes the same stance as the other gray zombie people, and then the game ends.
Now that is extremely telling, because whenever you're mind controlling the other mindless people, They may move like you do. They act like people for a bit because you're controlling them, right? Mm-hmm. But then when you unplug, they go back to being their limp zombie-like form.
Yep.
And I guess it's implied that they can still be controlled through subliminal messaging or whatnot, and that's why they walk in single file and do whatever the facility tells them to do. Mm-hmm. The mind control helmet is just a direct method of control.
Yeah.
But... hey, what happens if you wear the mind control helmet here at this secret ending?
You don't wear it.
It's not within reach?
I don't. You can't wear it. You just like see it.
Okay.
And then you unplug it.
Right. So that when you unplug it and you go limp, that implies that this entire time someone else has been controlling you. You never existed. You, if there even is a you, is somewhere else controlling this boy. It's almost like I as the player am wearing the helmet, but my helmet is a keyboard.
Yeah, and that's what that player in the chair implies.
Wait, there's an actual person sitting in the chair?
Yeah, there's a person sitting in front of the monitors.
You didn't mention that part.
Yeah, I did. I said...
No.
Oh.
You didn't mention that.
But yeah, there's...
I never got the secret ending. I had to look it up.
But yeah, there's a boy sitting in front of the chair. I think he's wearing the helmet, actually. And then basically you unplug it and then you go limp. And a lot of people interpret this as the player unplugging, you know? As the player unplugging you. But I mean, there is also the interpretation that people give that it was the blob that was trying to control you and get you to do all this to free it. And that's what motivates you to do what you do in the entire game.
I wanted to look it up real quick.
Okay. See?
Okay, yeah. So I was right. You don't actually see anyone in there.
Oh, I see.
But it's dark and it's in the background where the inaccessible helmet is. And you can't really tell if someone's back there or not. They may or may not be.
Yeah, and also like it's like I said, one of the popular theories is that that's the player using a helmet to control your character.
But the difference is that this helmet isn't just a single-use helmet. It has cords going everywhere.
Yeah, that's why there's another theory saying that the blob is the one controlling you and trying to get you to free it.
Oh, I kind of like that theory. I never thought of it that way.
Yeah.
Because the many cords coming out of it imply either there's multiple users or multiple subjects, right?
Yeah.
Either many consciousnesses are possessing an entity, you, or an entity is possessing many bodies, i.e. the blob. So the blob, it might definitely be involved in it one way or the other.
And the reason that...
The entity.
Yeah, and this gives an explanation for, like, the goal of the whole game and why you end up there and free it.
You know, that's a good point, because at the very beginning, it looks like you're just trying to escape, right?
Yeah.
And you're just going from situation to situation. Sure, you end up going deeper into the facility, but you were escaping from those security guards. You know, you were just doing what you had to do.
Yeah.
But then when you look at the game in its totality, why is it that every time you escape, you get deeper into the facility?
Yeah, and you get closer and closer.
Yeah, maybe it seems like maybe you're not actually trying to escape. You're trying to infiltrate.
Yeah, and that's a theory, is that the blob is getting you to infiltrate the place.
I think that's right. And maybe we are the blob, because the blob is a multi-conscious entity. We, as the players of this game, the thousands, millions, however many, we are the entity that is controlling this one boy.
Oh, yeah.
And the screen monitors that are all wired and hooked up to that one mind control helmet represent that, because each of us is viewing this world through a screen.
Yeah. Did you know, actually, we forgot to talk about one of the theories that we had, which is that diorama that you see earlier is perfect.
No. I wasn't forgetting that. I was saving that.
Okay. You want to talk about it now?
Well, you already brought it up. Why don't you finish your thought?
Yeah. All right. So that diorama that you catch earlier with the hill and the lake and stuff is an exact replica of the area you end up in at the end of the game.
Yeah. That diorama, we brought it up specifically because if you weren't paying attention, you'd miss it entirely. But then when you get the happy ending of the game, you might be like, wait, this looks a little familiar. And it is. The happy, peaceful ending in nature you get is exactly the same. It's a macroscopic copy of the diorama. Or the diorama.
Whether they were just making a diorama of an area nearby to look at it and do stuff with it, or whether that diorama is a manufactured area is up for debate.
Well, I don't think it is. Why would scientists have a nature, or not only why would scientists in a fascist regime be just interested during their day jobs on, let's build some dioramas, and it's just a miniature diorama of a field of nature that's nearby. No.
Yeah.
It's manufactured. It reveals the peaceful ending for the farce that it is, which to me is the most tragic thing. It's a zoo.
Yeah.
It's a cage.
Yep. And that's why the alternate ending could be seen as the good ending, where you don't do what the blob wants, because, the blob could be controlling you, and also that because of that ending.
I don't agree with that.
Yeah?
Because I don't think there is a you so much. I think you are the entity.
Oh, yeah, fair enough.
That's who you are. That's who we are. The boy is just a puppet. There is no boy.
Yeah, fair enough.
Or if there is a boy, the puppet ends up getting absorbed into the entity. If that body once had a consciousness that was scrubbed from it, if there's anything left from that in a kind of get out, or a kind of, I don't know, any type of story that has but there's still a piece of them in there kind of situation.
Yeah.
If that is the case, it's now part of the entity. So,
to be honest, I kind of agree with you there too, because it's even with everything we know about this game, I still think it's better to free it.
The secret ending is basically choosing death over imprisonment.
Yeah. basically.
But even if you do that, it's only death for the boy, which is debatedly even alive.
Well, actually, like, you don't know what happens to the blob after he unplugs that.
Well, it's left to rot. That's what happens.
Well, I guess, yeah.
You're not given any information otherwise. Its
true.
confinement is permanent, at least until they move it to the zoo. The fact that they built the zoo, the diorama, implies they were going to be moving it anyway, which almost feels like the entire mission of the game was pointless, except for one thing.
What?
While you could argue that the entity being moved into the zoo was a plan that was going to happen, and that the entity's jailbreak to get out of there and landing in the zoo just ended up feeding into their hands and giving them what they were trying to do anyway. Mm-hmm. The jailbreak attempt, I still feel, is powerful and worth it. Because you slaughtered so many fascists! They got what was coming to them! It's like, yeah, I'll be locked up, but I'm taking you with me!
That's funny.
I'm sorry, I shouldn't be so excited by this, but...
But fascism, bad.
Bad, yes, bad.
Yeah.
And again, I would have liked something better.
Yeah,
I would have liked true freedom, and it really felt that way when you first finish it.
And then you realize the diorama thing, and you're like, wait.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Because, like, why would they have one of that? Why? There's no reason for it.
I'd like to think, though, that if the entity was able to break out of that chamber, that it could do it again.
I guess, yeah.
That mind control helmet's still there. What if it just picks another body one day?
Yeah, that's possible. At least if you don't get rid of it in the alternate ending.
Well, in the main ending.
Oh, yeah.
Because in the alternate ending, you're choosing death over
Oh, yeah, I see what you mean, yeah.
And I don't prefer that. I understand why some people might. But again, the entity doesn't die. The entity's still there. So it's not even a full death.
Yeah, I get you.
Yeah, so it's telling, it's interesting and thought-provoking, but I wouldn't prefer that ending. I think, at least in the imprisonment one, the entity gets to be happy. And if that ever changes, if that becomes oppressive, then maybe the entity could break out again and free more people or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
At least the entity, I think, is hope. Because this world is full of zombies and then evildoers. That's all you have. Mm-hmm. We thought the boy was one exception of a good person, right? Mm-hmm. It turns out that no, the good person is the entity. And the entity being a multi-conscious being, the entity is all the good people in the world. They're all that's left. Mm-hmm. So it's not just a scenario of like one person's in prison and one person's happy. No. This is all that's left of humanity. It's ironic that they're not human anymore.
Yeah.
But I would argue they are more human than anyone else in this story.
Yep.
And I guess it's kind of like the zoo hypothesis of the solar system, where people are like, what if all of our humanity is just trapped in a zoo? It's like that on a smaller scale.
Yeah.
And I don't like that, because I don't like lies, and that's a lie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But at least they're happy, and that seems to be something no one else gets in this world.
Yeah.
I feel like that's really sinister, because like fascism is like control of your being, right? Yeah. You are only happy if they let you be happy.
Yeah.
And they usually don't give a crap about your happiness. Mm-hmm. So it's just doing whatever they want, right? Like North Korea, for example. Mm-hmm. But I feel like a very efficient fascist authoritarian state would be one that makes you think you're happy. Again, like North Korea. So I do feel it's sinister, but it's the best ending, and I guess we'll take what we can get. And I'll hope that in the future the entity gets to break out again.
Yeah.
And I do use the term fascist and state a lot in this theory juxtapositions and conjectures and whatnot. But I do feel it's definitely more of a corporation than a government.
Yeah, true.
Like, it has facilities, it's local, it doesn't seem like a giant government cover-up or anything. Yeah. It seems they have administrators. Yeah. It seems to me very much like this is a corporation that invented a technology that they use to take over the world.
Yep.
It seemed very much like they had private security.
Yeah, and it very much seems like they're in a sort of post-apocalyptic world where they caused the apocalypse.
Yeah.
But yeah. All right.
Sorry, I know I rambled for a bit there.
It's okay. All right. Are we done talking about
No,
this?
because we have to talk. Are these two worlds, Limbo and Inside, separate or the same?
There's a theory that in the alternate ending in Inside, when you unplug, your character then gets sent to Limbo because you're not dead. You're in Limbo.
Yeah, I think that's a good thing. I honestly buy that. I mean, I wish there was more evidence and facts so I could just say, like, yeah, that's definitely true. But I'm inclined to believe it because we were talking about, like, what if there is something to the boy? What if part of him is still in there?
Yeah.
Right? That could be described as kind of alive, but kind of not. It's Limbo. All these mindless corpses, these zombie people, they are all in Limbo when they have their minds scrubbed. While their bodies are still fully alive and functioning and walking around and being controlled, their minds are in the Limbo world.
That'd be a good explanation.
In fact, that boy in Limbo could be the same boy.
Yeah.
And what if that girl that the boy in Limbo was looking for, his sister, what if she is one of the entities or one of the consciousnesses in the blob, the entity?
Oh, that'd be cool.
And like she's literally beckoning to him. Come save me. Save us.
Yeah, that'd be really cool.
Cause see, these games are short. Limbo more so, Inside more in depth.
Yeah.
But look how long. I was worried if we were going to be able to have the time to talk about this for an hour, but I think we've more than done that because they're so deep. I feel Limbo kind of was more metaphysical, Christian and whatnot, but Inside, I just feel like talks about so many different levels of society and consciousness and morality.
Yeah.
This is why indie games are amazing.
Yeah, because they have the freedom to explore these topics.
Things that most corporations wouldn't touch with a 10-foot pole.
Yep. For fear of reducing their profits.
Again, I wish there would have been more female characters.
Well, yeah.
But they were still really good. That's really my only criticism. I really can't think of another one.
Yeah.
They were just brilliant.
Yeah, they really were.
And I guess we'll be done here?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. But for the record, I subscribe to the theory. There are two worlds. There's the limbo world, purgatory world, limbo, right? And then there's the real world, which is a desolate fascist wasteland. I think they're two sides of the same coin. And that's why we wanted to talk about them in the episode.
Yeah, that's cool.
Same episode. I don't know what we're going to call this one, though. Limbo side? Playdead. Maybe just Playdead.
Maybe.
Playdead. You're playing dead. You're pretending to be a mindless zombie. You're playing dead. You're being controlled by the blob, the entity. You're playing a corpse. You're playing dead. You're playing dead. This is Game Theorem. Check out our Patreon or our Twitter account. I gotta go lay down. Kyle.
I'm Kira.